Hello, my name's the Oliver Pickard and welcome to beautiful Limousin, France. It is beautiful today, but unfortunately it's also incredibly wet and raining and horrible. It's not as bad as it was the other day, where it monsooned it down to the point where I was, I think, technically an aquatic creature for a while. But it's still very bad. It's still raining, it's still wet, and I can't work on my roof, I can't put my roof on. I'm like nearly done in that respect with the roof. I just need a couple more afternoons of nice weather and I can get my roof done. Unfortunately, that's not going to be today, and I can't work on Jolene because the garage just isn't set up for it and I can't work outside on it. So, some of you may remember, the people who've been around for a while, may remember the fact that at the beginning of the year, I made a video about some of the things that were wrong with Jolene. Not necessarily wrong, but things that needed to be made better, things that needed to be sorted out. And one of those things were the lights. Jolene's lights at night are not very good. I bought some halogen 6-volt bulbs at one point, and they worked really, really well. Unfortunately, that was just before I had my charging problems. With my charging problems, I made a video about dynamos and about, 2CV electrics. And that's how I got that sorted. Unfortunately, in that time when I had charging problems, I blew up one of the halogen bulbs. It just went pop one day when I was on my way home. So, I've gone back to my old Euro bulbs, which are like a tea light in a jam jar. They're really that bad. They're like, it's like driving by birthday candle. And I'm okay because my eyes adjust and I can drive really pretty well with them. They don't project very far either because they've got the wrong lenses in. They've actually got 12-volt 2CV6 headlight lenses. I need to find some good lenses. I know where there are some. I just need to talk to the person who has them. So that's a thing that's in process. The other thing that I mentioned was fitting fog lights. And yesterday, I went and got some. French second-hand internet people are not very good, and nobody in my area actually uses the internet because they're all old, to be honest. A lot of people around here are of a certain age, and so they just can't be bothered. And those who aren't of a certain age can't get an internet connection, which is something that I know the pains of myself. But I did find one person who had some fog lights for sale, who has an internet connection, and yesterday I went and bought them. It was a bit of a drive, but I managed to get 2 Seeb yellow fog lights, and they were an absolute bargain. But these aren't perfect. They are, I'll say, 70s, maybe early 80s. They're a bit modern for Jolene. They're a bit new. But I think they look cracking. I think they look absolutely fantastic. And they're not cracked. But that doesn't mean they're perfect. The rubber/plastic backs need cleaning up. They have these horrible rusty bolts in them, which we need to take off and replace. We need to obviously remove these mounting brackets from the thing itself. We need to check out the inside, check out nothing's damaged. This one is actually upside down. It's that way up because top is there. So I don't know. They were probably hung off a bumper or something like that from the bottom of the bumper. And this one's the right way up, but it's had a bit of a smack here on the side. So I need to tap that out gently. But I think they're actually stainless surrounds, these, so I think that will be absolutely fine. I can tap it out and polish it up and you'll hardly even notice. They're rather nice 12-volt Seeb fog lights, but they are 12-volt nonetheless. So I need to change the bulbs over to 6-volt LEDs, and that's how I'm going to make that happen. So yes, in today's video we're going to take them apart and we're going to clean them up. The first things first though is to get these horrible brackets off. We will be using the brackets, but I want to clean the brackets up, get this rusty bolt off here, and yeah, let's get cracking. For those of you who have recoiled in horror at the very thought of me putting fog lights on Jolene, do not fear. I am not going to be drilling any holes in Jolene in order to fit these fog lights. They will go in factory or standard mounting points. Obviously, she wasn't designed to have fog lights on her, but I will be using existing holes, and any parts that will be taken off will be wrapped securely in nice paper and stored in a warm, dry place. So, or a cool, dry place, as the case may be. So yeah, don't worry about that. Let's wiggle these off slowly, because this actual mount is plastic, and I don't want to damage it. Someone said to me the other day, Jolene's in a pure form. Why would you put fog lights on her? And that's kind of funny. But a pure form is okay, as long as it works. And the second she stops working, as she's supposed to, then that pure form's no good, is it, really? Come on. Absolute blighter. I'm going to have to get a bigger spanner. And in the case of Jolene, she's my everyday car. And in the winter months here, we get quite a lot of fog. Come on. Where is it now? There we go. In the winter months, we get quite a lot of fog. So, I need a set of fog lights. And I need headlights that work really, really well. You know, when you live in the countryside and your local roads aren't lit, and they're very narrow, we have badger here, we have deer, we have wild boar. That's one off, yay! We have wild boar, like, we have a lot of things on these roads that could really ruin your day if you hit them. And I never plan on hitting them. And part of that is obviously being visible and being seen. We also have some very big tractors on these roads. And so being visible and being seen and being safe is my absolute #1 priority above the aesthetics of my car. Although I think these will look brilliant. And also above the purity of my car, because the purity of my car doesn't matter if my car gets smashed up because I hit something because I can't see, and like a log has fallen in the road or something like that. You know, I don't want to have an accident in Jolene because I can't see, and I don't want my partner to be out in the car and have an accident because she can't see. You know, I want my partner to be able to drive Jolene with confidence. And think, well, it's okay, we can go out and have a meal or something and come back in the dark and not worry about it. Jolene isn't, you know, the kind of car that gets put in a garage and I have a modern, I don't know, Dacia or something that I use every day. She is the car. And so she needs to work at 100%. So, we've taken these apart. They use like a coin slot. So I've just used a big washer. Just to have a look at the condition inside. And inside, they look like new. Like brand new inside, which is fantastic. But I do need to remove the headlight from the surround in order to tap this out here. So, I will also need to rewire these completely. So these just pop out. I'll need to rewire them. The fitting in the actual holder is okay. This fitting is fine. But these wires will need to be replaced with brand new ones. Because I don't want to have a fitting right at the back of the headlight. I'd rather have the fitting in the car where it's out of the damp and stuff. And it's nice and safe. So the bulb fitting's on there, and there's some little wire clips. In the edge it looks like I'm going to need a screwdriver to get those out, but you get the bulb out by just unhooking this piece of wire here and simply very carefully lifting that out. And so it's a sliding bulb like that. And I need to now find one that's an LED. Oh, I've also got myself, out of my box of stuff, some new mounting bolts for these brackets. They are stainless steel 316, and I've also got some longer bolts just in case these are slightly too short, with some big penny washers, some split washers, because one does prefer if one's fog lights don't fall off while one's making one's way, and some nuts, of course. So rather than reusing these horrible rusty bolts, we will be using nice brand new shiny stainless ones, because if you're going to put something on your car, it might as well be as good as it can be. And I need a screwdriver now, so I can slowly just remove these little wire clips from the back of the headlight. Headlight, fog light. I will make that mistake multiple times during this video, I'm sure. Then I can remove this, remove the lens, and tapper the side of this out. And then we're sorted. There we go. Haha, it helps you put your thumb over. Okay, clips are off. And what a lot of people don't know is that 2CVs, early 2CVs anyway, were commonly used as rally cars in the 1950s and stuff. I have a photo that I took at the French National 2CV meeting of the Orléans Rally, and there's one 4CV kind of prototype rebodied car and a bunch of 2CVs, because obviously 2CVs, despite having quite a small engine, are very unstoppable little things, and in order to finish first, you have to finish. And they're also very good off-road and on bumpy roads and that kind of thing. Forest sections in a 2CV must have been a riot. Anyway, I'm about to tap this out with a hammer, rather gently, and make it pretty again. Back in a sec. I've of course removed the fog lights from the table before I've started hitting things with hammers. The last thing we want is it to fall off. Them to fall off. Yeah, so it's not beyond the realm of reality to fit 2CVs with fog lights. It's actually quite a common procedure. I know a lot of Expedition 2CVs that have fog lights, you know, it's a very common thing here in France. And a lot of older 2CVs have fog lights. People in the UK tend to freak out when you start putting fog lights and stuff on cars, because the way they see them is in their current context as kind of a nice old car for, you know, jaunts on weekends and things like that. But the reality is that for most of these cars' lives, they've been working vehicles. You know, a 2CV was the car. And so many people here did whatever the car needed to do its job properly, which includes fitting fog lights. The difference I will be making when I fit my fog lights is that people usually, when they fit fog lights to a 2CV, drill holes in the bumper, which I'm not going to do, because I don't like the look of it. It makes them off-centre. Much like many purists that mock people for using electronic ignition and things like that. If you're driving your car every day, which most purists don't, most purists leave their car in the garage and they might bring it out at weekend. But if you are driving your car every day, putting electronic ignition on a car can actually lengthen the lifespan of the engine. It makes it run better, it makes it run smoother, so it actually lengthens the life of all the other components in the engine. It gives you better fuel economy, it gives you cleaner running, it makes your car more reliable, and you're not actually changing, you're not cutting anything off the car, you're just taking pieces off, wrapping them in paper and putting them on a shelf, and then bolting electronic ignition on. So for those people who run their cars every single day, they're actually doing a good thing. And I know for a fact that many people who drive their cars every day, their engines last longer than some purists' engines do who keep their cars in garages, because lack of use is not an engine's friend. But if you are a purist, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with saving your car for future generations. And having an all-original show spec car. That's a beautiful thing in itself. But there are many cars out there that aren't beautiful, that aren't all original, and that aren't show spec. And to those cars, we might as well use them and repair them and enjoy them. You know, Jolene was once dragged out of a barn. It's not like she has a conquest history. And so the best thing to actually do is to use her. Otherwise, we end up with a problem like we have with many vintage cars where young people actually don't know they exist. Many, you know, veteran cars and many pre-war cars are now in a circumstance where their value is actually decreasing. And many owners who want to sell their cars can't sell them and end up giving them to museums. It's simply because the young people of today, you know, people of my age, a lot of people don't know they exist because they've never seen one on the road. They've always been wrapped in cotton wool in somebody's garage and hoarded. And when that happens, people don't know they exist. So then when the car goes up for sale, nobody cares, despite it being an important piece of history. One of the most awesome things about driving my 2CV is the fact that everywhere I go, I get young children waving at me. And it's one of the most heartwarming things you can imagine. And little tiny kids come up and ask about the car, and, you know, parents are so enthusiastic. And it's really nice to spread my love of classic cars. You know, that's why I have a YouTube channel. Well, that's a heck of a lot better than it was. Let's see if I can get it any better. This will involve a time-consuming process of tiny, tiny taps, which you guys may not want to watch, so I'll cut ahead to when I've finished doing that. I'm just using some Autosol now to polish it up. I like Autosol. It's very, very good stuff. A little bit goes a long way. You know, I'm not going to get this absolutely perfect. The chances of me doing that are zero, especially with the tools I have. But also, it's chrome steel. So I can't be too abusive. I know it's chrome steel because there is some little bits of fly rust on the inside, which I'm also going to polish off. So if I get too abusive with it, I'll end up scratching it. Luckily, it looks like it hasn't scratched the chrome plating when it's gotten damaged, even though it deformed the ring slightly. So I'm not massively fussed. It's a little bit of patina on a fog light after all. And if it's the right shape and it's not causing the back of the fog light to actually pop off or leak in any way, I'm not too fussed, to be honest with you. It is what it is, and I can mount it on the inside where the bonnet is, and no one will ever see it. So I might change these fog lights out in the future for some period correct ones. I would prefer period correct ones, to be honest. But these were very local. Or I thought they were very local before I drove like an hour and a half to get them. And they were very reasonably priced. And like I said, I'm not having to drill anything or make any permanent modifications in order to fit them. So for the time being, while I'm trying to put all my money into the house, they're a very, very good quality set of fog lights for not very much money. And I've always wanted to put yellow fog lights on Jolene anyway, so this will be a very good test. And like I say, in the future, if I find another set of Siebes, I may buy them and I may fit them to Jolene and have a more period correct look. But for now, these will do the job just as well as some period correct ones, if not possibly better. So I'm not I'm not going to lose any sleep over the fact that they've got a plastic back rather than a chrome back, even though my OCD wishes they did. The fact is that when it's dark and I'm on a misty country road, they're going to keep me alive as well as some period correct ones will, and that's the important thing. So let's have a look at this. There we go, that's the damage side. So we've got kind of 80% of all of the damage out. We've got as much as we can reasonably get out without overstressing the metal and risking cracking it or splitting it. And that's what I really don't want to happen, because then they'll rust, and I don't want that. That is pretty damn good. I'm happy with that. It's not the greatest in the world. It's not like brand new. But it gives them a little bit of character. In the advert, he offered to post them, which was nice. However, and this is the reason I would always check things, I would always go in person to buy something off the sold second hand off the internet. He'd carefully photograph the lights, not showing this damage. And when I did see this damage, even though they were a very good price, I did knock him down, because what he advertised was a perfect set of lights, and that's not what I got. But I'm not going to lose sleep over it, like I say. Right, I think it's time to clean these plastic backs now, and I've got some stuff for it somewhere. So I've just found some plastic interior trim cleaner stuff. I don't know how old this is. It's in Spanish, so it's at least 2 years old. I've never used this before because Jolene doesn't have any plastic trim. But we'll see if it gets all the polish off. That's not bad, actually. It smells horrible. I'll just show you the difference with the other one. That's after, and that's before. That is a surprising product. That worked very well. Happy with that. Cool. Okay, I'm just going to polish the lens up before I put them back together, because I might as well. And then I've got this one too. I'm just going to use some paint, scratch remover stuff on these lenses, because I can clean them up a bit better than they are. Like I said, they're in very, very good condition, but they've still lived a life. And so it won't do any harm to buff the glass up a bit. I expected a bit of a fight on my hands getting these little clips back in, but it turns out the lovely ladies and gentlemen at Seeb did an absolutely fantastic job at designing these little clips, and they're much easier to take out, to put in, than they are to take out. Well done, Seeb people. Seeb people. Oh, there. I thought I'd dropped it. I did drop one earlier. But no, I got it. Click, back in. Awesome. I'm not going to put the wires back on because obviously I'm going to be taking this off again. I've just made it mucky by putting it on the table, damn it. I'm not going to be putting the wires back on because simply I'm going to be taking this off anyway again at some point. Bottom is bottom. We are going to be putting them on this way with the mount to the bottom. So, clunk, click, every trip, and we're in. Pop all my bolts back on now so I don't lose things with my fancy new stainless steel bolts for the bottom. I will say that I would have liked to have painted these little steel black brackets, but they are plastic coated. They're actually vacuum plastic coated, and so I don't have any acid etch primer. And even if I did have acid etch primer, it's my experience that over time it wears off. Plastic coat may be a good thing, but I don't have any of that either. So it's not happening. It's not happening today anyway. Put my washer on, put my split washer on, because I don't want to lose my bolt, or even my nut, or even my fog light. And then put that on there. And she's ready to go on the car. Actually, I'm just going to give it a bit of a polish with some anti-UV black car polish, because it's a little bit, I don't know, a little bit green there. It's green in this light anyway. You always end up with these products, don't you, on a shelf? Like some red wax from when you had a red car 10 years ago, but occasionally it does come in handy. Heck, all these stainless steel bolts are all from when I used to work on boats, and I used to buy extras all the time. Whenever I needed bolts, nuts and bolts, I used to buy extras. Because it's like today, I brought one extra split washer, because I knew that the chances of me dropping a split washer were very likely. And when you work on boats, if you drop something, it usually ends up in the sea. So I would always buy extra bolts than I needed, because you do know that the one time you drop a bolt, it's going to be when it's lunchtime and everything's closed, and you can't get another one until 5 o'clock. Okay, so I'm going to do the other one off camera, I think, because you don't want to watch me do the same twice. And I think we'll just cut to 2 nicely finished fog lights. But yeah, that's one. Very, very happy with that. Okay, so there we have it. 2 cleaned up fog lights. It's at this point in the video that I should mention that I should have set up a before and after shot and didn't even think about it. But there we go. So it's actually stopped raining for 2 seconds. So I wasn't going to do this, but seeing as how it's not raining and I've got 2 spotlights in my hand, let's go and test fit the fog lights on Jolene. Let's do this. Oh, I'll need the fog light, won't I? Go on. So a lot of people, when they fit fog lights to a 2CV, drill a hole in each side of the bumper, which I'm not a huge fan of. The other thing I'm not a huge fan of is the overriders on Jolene, because they're actually at an angle. I don't know if you can see that. They look okay kind of sometimes, but other times not so much, and they're not exactly an aerodynamic aid, being wonky. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take off the overriders on Jolene, if I can. There we go. I'm going to take these overriders off. I'm going to wrap them in paper and store them in a nice place, in a box, just in case I ever change my mind. And I'm actually going to fit the, and I've just dropped the nuts. There we go. And I'm actually going to fit the spotlights into the overrider bolts. Now, on an earlier 2CV, there's actually 2 bolts that hold the overriders on. On the later 2CV, it's actually 2 rivets, and they tend to come undone. But on the earlier 2CV, it has huge brackets. And we are off. There you go. Get the washer out. And now I can carefully take these overriders off. Like that. So I'm actually going to mount the spotlights onto these holes here. I will replace the bolt that goes in the bottom of the bumper as well, because it is actually one of the overrider bolts does hold the bumper on as well as this one. There's not enough hands. There's more bolts hold Jolene's bumpers on than hold the engine in. It's quite amazing actually how many flipping bolts they managed to hold some little flimsy bumpers on with. And we are on. There you go. So like I say, I'm going to replace the bottom bumper bolt. I'm going to put that back in a second. But this should give us a good idea of what these are going to look like. Like I say, I'm not going to wire them in now because I don't have bulbs. They haven't arrived yet. And I'm actually going to rewire the back of the light altogether and put brand new spade fittings in and brand new wires and everything, because I want the wire, rather than running to the back of the light and connecting to this connector here, I want the wires actually to neat and tidy tuck in and under and then run up and through, and them to connect up with the rest of the wiring, and that's nice and tidy and out of the way, and it keeps everything away from water, it keeps any electrical connectors away from water, and it also means that I'm not going to catch them when I undo the bonnet or anything like that. So that's one on. So from this to this, what do you think, guys? Tell me down in the comments below. I actually think Jolene looks like she was always supposed to have fog lights like this. They match the yellow bulbs so well, they just work. I think that she looks absolutely fantastic. Obviously they're not wired in yet. I haven't received my bulbs, so it wouldn't matter if I had wired them in yet. But it stopped raining and I just couldn't resist test fitting them. I do need to tidy this bumper up a bit. It's a bit stone chipped, and I may have caught it once when I crank started the car. But yeah, I think she looks absolutely fantastic. Thank you for watching. Please let me know what you think down in the comments below. If you like this video, click like while you're there. And if you want to see more videos like this, and if you want to be here for the next video, when it might not literally be the next video, but the next video to do with fog lights when I wire these in and we start them up for the first time, then make sure you're subscribed, and you can do that while you're down in the comments below. If you want to share these videos with your friends who might have some cool opinions and might think they're awesome and might be thinking about putting fog lights on their 2CV, then there's a share button next to the like button, and you can share these videos with your friends. Thank you all for watching. Please be awesome to each other, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye bye.